So according to a recent survey, 53% of millennial workers and 40% of Gen Z workers feel that they are not on track to retire comfortably. That means nearly half of these workers are facing complete uncertainty about their golden years. So in this video, myself and my AI assistant Tiara are going to reveal the 7 crucial money habits that you need to develop in your 20s that can set you up for early retirement. You'll learn how to build wealth, avoid common financial pitfalls, and create a bulletproof plan for your future. Plus, I'm gonna share the #1 biggest financial mistake that almost everyone makes in their 20s that could cost you over $1 million by the time that you retire. So let's begin with Tiara kicking us off.
First, let's talk about the foundation of all good money habits, budgeting. I know, it seems boring, but this is the secret sauce to financial freedom.
So creating a budget is like giving your money a roadmap. It helps you see where your cash is coming from and where it's going to be going. But here's the thing. Before you roll your eyes and think how you don't want to budget, realize that budgeting, it isn't about restricting yourself. Instead, it's about making sure that you have enough resources for the things that really matter to you. So for instance, maybe you want to travel more or save for a down payment on a house. A good budget will make that possible. Now, if you don't budget now and you want to get started, that's amazing. That means that you're serious about retiring, and I want to help. So recently I did create another video that tells you everything you need to know about not only creating a budget, but actually sticking to it. And I'll share that link to that video a little bit later in this video so that you can learn the absolute best way to use budgeting to your advantage. But remember, the key to budgeting is to stick with it. It might feel weird at first, but give it a few months. You'll start to feel more in control of your money, and that's a pretty awesome feeling that can really change your trajectory quick. Now let's talk about a lifelong financial habit you should start as soon as possible to make sure that you're always ready for surprises in the future.
Second, let's talk about something that might sound a bit boring, but is absolutely crucial: building an emergency fund.
Now I get it, you're at the age where an emergency fund, it may not sound too important, but imagine if you don't have an emergency fund saved and a couple of days from now you're driving down the street and a terrible driver just crashes right into your car. So even though you're not at fault, you're gonna have to pay your deductible for your insurance to get your car fixed. And if you have a random $1,000 expense like that come out of nowhere, are you really prepared to handle that without stacking up a balance on a credit card?
Absolutely not.
Now, for most of you, probably not. And while I could get into great detail here, instead, just like before, I'll link to another video that I have about building an emergency fund later in this video as well. But remember, similar to budgeting, an emergency fund, it isn't just, about preparing for the worst. It's about giving yourself peace of mind. If something unexpected happens, although you may not be thrilled about it, you won't be in a panic worrying how you're going to be able to pay for it. So one idea here to get you started quickly, try what I call the 52-week challenge. So save $1 in week 1, $2 in week 2, and so on. By the end of the year, if you do that for 52 weeks straight, you'll have stashed away $1,378, and it's really a very simple process to follow. Now, as great as emergency funds are, there's another money habit that you need to follow, because if you don't, it's going to ruin your finances for years to come.
Next, let's chat about something that can seriously derail your financial goals faster than almost anything else: high-interest debt.
Here, we're talking about those credit card balances, payday loans, and any other debt traps that'll absolutely crush your financial goals faster than anything else. So the first thing I'll say with this is that if you're struggling with high-interest debt, consider a balance transfer on a credit card with a 0% interest APR. It can give you a breather to pay off your debt without accruing more interest, which is really the killer of the progress, in my opinion. Just be sure to read the fine print and have a solid payoff plan before you even transfer anything. Now, assuming that will help your situation, let's touch on other things that you need to know about high interest debt. So, in my opinion, high interest debt, it is borderline abuse. So for instance, that 20% APR on your credit card, that means that if you have a $1,000 balance for an entire year on a credit card, you're gonna pay $200 annually just in interest. Now, when it comes to credit cards specifically, aim to pay your balance in full each month. It's not just good for your credit score, but it actually keeps you from falling into the debt trap. Live within your means and stop trying to show off. You may feel cool on the weekend buying drinks for everyone or covering a meal for your close friends, but spending less than you earn is the best way to avoid debt in the first place. Now, if you're carrying a balance, try calling your credit card company and negotiating a lower interest rate. It may sound difficult, but it's surprisingly easy, and I promise you that you are not the first person that day, or maybe even that hour, who's trying to do it. I think that the next habit that Tiara mentions here is easily the most important thing to do to set yourself up to have success in the future, both financially and professionally.
Fourth, let's talk about one of the most overlooked investments out there, you. That's right. Investing in yourself and your skills is one of the best investments you'll ever make.
To be honest, we all need work. I wasn't perfect in my 20s, and I'm definitely not perfect now. But from a financial standpoint, there are many things that you can do in your 20s to put yourself in a better place in the future. So here are some things to consider. So first, never stop learning. So the world is changing fast, and so should your skill set. Take online courses, attend workshops, or even consider going back to school if it'll be beneficial. Things are changing so fast right now, especially with AI, so keep your finger on the pulse and pay attention. So next, read or listen to something educational. So whether it be reading books, listening to ebooks, or listening to an informative podcast, this is one of the keys to learning and growing beyond your capabilities. Now, I've probably listened to thousands of hours of podcasts by now, and I still put in a couple hours every single day. Next, consider pursuing certifications. So many fields, they have certifications that can boost your credibility and your earning potential. So you need to look into what's available in your industry, and if it's worth the time investment, do it. Why would you settle for less money if all you had to do was take a 3-month certification to make more? Just put in the extra effort and it will pay off in the end. Fourth, start a side hustle. So not only can this bring in extra cash, but it's also a great way to learn new skills and potentially discover a new passion. Now, I did this myself years ago when I started building websites outside of my full-time job, and that actually led to a huge windfall of cash and my own business for 10 years. The thing is, you'll never know what a side hustle can become until you actually try it. And fifth, seek mentorship. So find someone who's absolutely killing it in your field and learn from them. This may require you to pay some consulting here and there, and as long as it's within reason, it's really completely warranted. And frankly, I see it as a shortcut to get to the result quicker most of the time. Now, a tip with all this, I'd set aside a personal development fund in your budget. Even if it's $50 or $100 a month, it can go a long way towards books, courses, or even conference tickets. Whatever you need that could seriously level up your career, you should do it. Don't be cheap. I was always cheap. It's better to just do it. And remember, investing in yourself isn't just about making more money, although that obviously is a nice perk. It's really about becoming the best version of yourself and opening up opportunities that you might not even know that exist. This next habit is easily one of the simplest things to do, but I'm guilty of not doing it at my 20s. And if you aren't either, I promise that you aren't alone.
Now let's focus on a habit that might sound a bit old school, but is absolutely crucial for financial success: living below your means. It's not about being cheap, it's about being smart with your money.
I know this isn't sexy, it isn't cool, and you may not even want to do it, but it really is a great way to retire early, and you don't have to live a life of misery to do this. So here are some ways to make sure that you stay within your means. So remember earlier when I mentioned keeping a budget? Well, you can't live below your means if you don't know what your means are. So tracking your income and expenses, it is a habit that you should always keep. You should also prioritize needs over wants. So sure, the newest iPhone looks cool, but do you actually need it or do you want it? Make sure that you learn to differentiate between necessities and luxuries and adjust your behavior. Also consider the 30-day rule. So when you want to make a big purchase, wait 30 days. If you still want it after that month, go ahead and go for it. But usually you'll find that you don't really need it and you don't really want it after 30 days. Next, master the art of saying no. So it's okay to skip an expensive night out or pass on a group vacation if it doesn't align with your financial goals. I can't tell you how many times in my 20s I passed on opportunities like this, and I really have no regrets. I didn't miss out on much. You also want to make sure that you're shopping smart. So use coupons, wait for sales, and compare prices. Truthfully, Amazon and Walmart apps, they are a blessing nowadays for this when it comes to comparing prices. So make sure that you use them just to compare, especially if you're walking around in a store. Compare the prices to make sure you're not getting ripped off. And this next one is a big one: avoid lifestyle inflation. So this is such a common issue. Most people think that when they earn more money, they should buy something new to celebrate. And it can usually be a pretty expensive thing. So instead of that attitude, enjoy your newfound funds for a month or so and then stop and pretend like it didn't happen. Instead, put those funds towards bills, an emergency fund, or even investments. And I promise you that you'll thank yourself later for doing that. Now, aside from all this, I also want to recommend, especially if you're just getting started, that you consider the 50-30-20 budget rule. So allocate 50% of your income towards needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. This can help you live comfortably while still saving for the future. And one thing I want to reiterate, living below your means, it doesn't mean living a life of misery. If you do that, you're likely to get tired of it and just basically fail. It's really about being intentional with your spending and focusing on what truly brings you joy. This next money habit that I have, it can make your life a whole lot easier. And for many places where you pay, it'll actually get you a discount as well.
Sixth, let's talk about a game changer in managing your money: automation.
One of the easiest ways to manage your finances is to make it as simple as possible. So wouldn't it be nice to get your paycheck deposited into your account, and then within 24 hours, all your funds are dispersed, so you're not only paying your bills early or on time, but you're also investing it without even thinking about it.
How is this possible?
Here's how to put your finances on autopilot. First, no brainer, but set up direct deposits into your bank account if possible with your employer. Next, set up automatic payments for regular bills like rent, utilities, and subscriptions. A third thing you want to do is schedule transfers. So whether you're scheduling your money to automatically move to a savings account, an emergency fund, or right into the market and investments, make it happen on autopilot so you don't even have a chance to think twice about it. Now, fourth, set up automatic contributions to your 401k or your IRA. Even small, regular contributions can really grow into a sizable nest egg over time, and most employers will let you do that directly on your paycheck. Also, fifth, there are apps out there like Acorns, which link in the description, that round up your purchases to the nearest dollar and invest the difference. Now, I'm a huge fan of this, and I have made some great returns doing it, so I definitely recommend it whenever I can. Sixth, you should always set up balance alerts. So this means that you have your bank notify you when your account balance dips below a certain level. This will help you avoid random fees and penalties that you can otherwise avoid. And lastly, if you're paying off loans or credit cards, set up automatic payments for at least the minimum amount due. Now, you can always pay extra manually, but this makes sure that you never miss a payment. Now, all that said, with automation, I'd recommend that you use the pay yourself first method. So set up your automated savings to happen right after your paycheck hits your account. This way, you are prioritizing your financial goals before any other spending happens, which is really how it always should be. Also, keep in mind that automation isn't about setting it and forgetting it completely. You still need to review your finances regularly to make sure everything's on track. But by automating the day-to-day stuff, you free up mental energy to focus on bigger financial decisions and goals. Now, backtracking a little bit, remember how in the intro of this video, I said that there was one mistake that could cost you over $1 million by the time that you retire? Well, the next habit on our list, above all others, this is the one that is most likely to make you a millionaire.
This next habit is overlooked often, but it's one of the biggest mistakes anyone can make. That's starting to save for retirement early.
Okay, I get it. Retirement, it seems like it's a lifetime away, but trust me, your future self is going to be doing backflips if you start now. And the main reason for that, well, it's pretty simple. Compound interest. That is your secret weapon here. So when you start early, your money has more time to grow. It's basically like a snowball rolling down a hill, and it's getting bigger and bigger as it goes. And compound interest, in the S&P 500, It has done that at a rate of 7% on average per year over the last 100 years. To put that in perspective, even small contributions can grow into a massive nest egg over decades. $100 a month starting at 25 could grow to over $300,000 by 65, assuming a 7% annual return. And the biggest mistake that people make is not starting early enough and letting their money do the work for them. Aside from the compound interest though, there are a number of other reasons to start saving as quick as you can. So for instance, if your job offers a 401k match, that's free money. Not taking it is like leaving part of your salary on the table. Plus, many retirement accounts offer tax advantages. It's like the government giving you a bonus just for saving. Also, starting early gives you more options later. So if you want to retire early or you want to switch to a lower stress job, early saving makes that all possible because you won't have the stress of finances later in life. Now, if you're a beginner and you really don't know how to properly direct your retirement fund, just look into what they call target date funds. So these automatically adjust your investments based on your expected retirement year and make it super easy for anyone to invest. Now, as much as TR and I try to teach finances on this channel, you really don't need to be Warren Buffett to successfully save for retirement. Even setting aside 1% of your income is a great start. The key is to begin as early as possible and increase your contributions over time. Earlier in the video, I mentioned 2 videos that you may want to check out to get help with either budgeting or building a proper emergency fund. Well, good news, they're both right here. Click whichever one that you think would be best for you, but I promise they're both great. But before you go, hold on, make sure that you subscribe to the channel to unlock financial success one AI chat at a time. Thanks for the support.